This edition of Talk About the Hill Country has been pre-recorded and is being shared in two parts. It's also been edited to fit the time allotted. This is Talk About the Hill Country. On this edition of Talk About the Hill Country, we are enjoying part 2 of our interview with Art Acevedo, former police chief of Austin and Houston, Texas, Aurora, Colorado, and Miami, Florida. This interview began with a conversation in line at the post office between Jan Fritz, our CEO and owner, and Mr. Acevedo. If you'd like to hear the first part, you can go to our YouTube channel at HC Broadcasting at the Voice of the Hill Country. We'll also be sharing links on our Facebook page. You've been running these different departments in large communities. How did you decide to allot resources when you were running these police departments? How did you work with government entities and the press and families, especially when you're dealing in emergency situations, so that we have a better understanding of the people that work for us as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. Look, you have to be data driven, right? Fortunately, we have a lot of technology now, a lot of technology that can help us, analyze information, and you have to be data driven and intelligence led because if you think about most cities, most communities, there's just not enough boots on the ground, right? So you have to constantly look at data. And I'll give you just a real simple example, right? And so in Austin, we know looking at data that when the students come back in late August to the University of Texas, guess what happens to property crime in the area around the university? It goes through the roof because you have all these kids that are away from home for the first time. They'll go to Starbucks and they'll leave their laptop, their brand new $3,000 laptop their parents gave them while they go to in the ladies or men's room. And then, these traveling crooks will show up. They'll be there knowing every year that that's a target rich environment. So when you have that data and you see when the spikes of crime go up, when it's low, you move these limited resources around. You deploy based on that data, based on that intelligence, and you try to be as efficient and as effective with those resources. That is really important is you have to have really good partnerships with other law enforcement agencies at the local, county, state, and federal, and you have to leverage those partnerships, and then you have to have great partnerships with and play well in the sandbox with your sister agencies, whether it's TxDOT, your county roads, Public Works. Sometimes police chiefs can be empire builders. They only care about their own operation. And I've always had the mindset that the better we work with others and the better we do in terms of being responsible with our budget, not always going me, we need more of this, be good partners because if we decide to put more money in the police department, you might not be able to have more for the library, and so there's only a limited amount of tax dollars available. And so I think that for me, the most important thing is the partnerships, the intelligence, data-driven, intelligence-led policing partnerships, and then you've got to work on building community trust. I always spend a lot of time out in the public with the community because if the community knows us, they're more apt to trust us. And if we have that good partnership, they're more apt to report crime. You got to make them believe that no matter whether they think we're going to solve it or not, one thing we know for certain, we cannot solve a crime that's not reported. And we know that a lot of crime goes unreported, and you can't diagnose the extent of the scourge of crime if people aren't reporting it. So you got to work constantly to build those relationships to make it as easy as possible for people to report crime, especially like in rural areas. Think about that, where you may have to drive to a station 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, and so you have to leverage, platforms where people can do it from their home, and so it's a very comprehensive approach to trying to keep a community safe.
You had a very interesting quote that I liked. It says, so So I'm always going to do my job in a manner that's consistent with what I believe. And if that means I have to lose my job because I have to stand up to corruption or speak out about bad public policy or policy failures that relates to public safety, immigration policy impacts public safety, gun policy impacts public safety,
Yeah,
trying to make us the potty police and the bathroom bill impacts public safety,
yeah.
I'm going to speak out. I'm always very vocal about what I think. Sometimes I'm described as a guy that's hard to control, but the truth of the matter is I'm supposed to be. Does this play into some of the controversy in your career? As you look back, are there things that you would have done differently? You seem a man of interesting contradictions. For example, you were very supportive of the Violence Against Women's Act, but there was a backlog of sexual assault cases in Austin. Or there was the Harding raid in Houston, in which two homeowners were killed after the lead turned out to be false, and yet you spoke out about police violence with George Floyd. Are there forces that pull on a police chief regarding uses of resources, time, and attention that play into these seeming contradictions?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, we don't control. We don't get to decide the budget like the sexual assault kits. That was a national issue. There was just no funding process the kits, and here a leader's job. If you don't find yourself in controversy, if you know somebody that's in public service, especially in law enforcement, that has never, you don't, they've been in office for 10 years, they've been in office for 7 years, they've been in office for whatever, and you Google them and you don't find any controversy, you know what that means? They haven't stood for much of anything other than coming to work and keeping their job, collecting a paycheck. Because the issues we deal with are very emotional. You've got the extremes that, some people want to throw away the key with everybody and lock them up. Some people want to coddle every criminal, no matter how bad they are. And what we have to focus on and speak out is, truth to power and to, just do the right thing. I think the American people are really smart. And Texans, what I love about Texas is I think Texans appreciate straight talk, right? And when they know that you're not blowing smoke, they actually appreciate that, even when they don't agree with you. And that's why I loved living in Texas. We were in Miami and we came back right here to Central Texas. I went to Colorado. They offered me a job to stay permanently, and no, we came back to Central Texas. And one of the reasons because Texans, I think, are salt of the earth. And they really, really appreciate. And I think people get flustered and really disturbed by public servants that, and whether it's elected or appointed, you never quite know what they if they really mean what they say. We have to work with the media because they're the ones that can help us get our messages out to the public. They're really important partners. Then you've got labor and you've got elected officials and and you've got all these different people pulling at you. So at the end of the day, what you need to do is focus on public safety and speak out based on evidence based and make evidence based decisions, and then be like an umpire, call balls and strikes. Things that a lot of leaders don't understand is the public is always watching us, just like our employees, our teammates as leaders are always watching us, and they're always making judgments, not just based on what we say and do, but also what we fail to say and do. So when you don't speak out against, something like what the brutality of George Floyd. Look, when somebody, if you, when you sit on somebody's back neck and you have them flat on the ground, regardless of what, we can debate about what the cause of death was. Put about 40, 50 pounds around your waist and then go on one knee on a watermelon, big old watermelon, and just kneel down and try to sit there for, what was it, 9 minutes, 46 seconds? I don't remember what it was. You have to be pretty committed. And then when a guy starts calling out for their mama, I'm pretty spiritual. I just think that, he's probably seen his mom coming to get him. That's what they talk about in my culture, where, the dead come for you. I really feel like he was already starting to transition. If you don't speak out as a leader against that, then what will happen is that people say, this guy doesn't care, right? So, like, again, they're going to always judge you, the public, the media, your elected officials, all your stakeholders, not just based on what you say and do, but what you fail to say and do. And sometimes the silence is deafening, which is which is something we've heard over the years throughout society.
So, if there's a question that I haven't asked you that you wish you'd been asked, or you've never been asked, or you wish people would ask, just for our listeners as a closeout, what question would that be? What would your answer be to it?
I think is why did you become a police officer in the first place? I mean, what drew you to this career? And I can just tell you that, and your listeners, that I was born in Cuba and I came here at 4.5 as a political refugee. My father, my mother, my big two, my three older siblings. And I like to say I'm a Cuban by birth, but an American by the grace of God and the generosity of the American people. And what drew me to this profession was a deep love for the United States of America. It's an imperfect union, but there's no better place on earth. I quit law school to be a police officer. I've never looked back. And if I had to start all over again, oh boy, I'd do it all over again in a heartbeat. I wish I could turn the clock back because I would have been that much better as a public servant, knowing what I know today.
Oh, thank you so much for being here
Thank
with us
you.
today, Art. Thank you so much for all of your help
Thank you.
in answering some of our questions and helping us understand our own law enforcement people a little bit better and what they're going through. And I hope we have a chance to talk again in the future. And
Same here.
good luck on all of the things that you're pursuing. And again, just thank you so much for being here today. It's so generous of you, especially since you basically just met somebody in a post office line and they asked you to give up an hour of your time. Thank
Well,
you.
she was great. Tell her hi for me. Take
I
care.
will. I will. She says hi back. You've been listening to Talk About the Hill Country. Comes on every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. It's a public service of HC Broadcasting. If you'd like to be on Talk About the Hill Country, if you have something to share about your organization, nonprofit, or something that you find exciting going on, give us a call at 830-997-2197. Email us at knafnews@gmail.com. Stop by at 304 East San Antonio Street or mail us at P.O. Box 311 in Fredericksburg. We'll try to get you on the calendar. This has been Talk About the Hill Country.